with Niko Kranjcar, and I'm delighted to have been joined by 4Rs fans, Rahul Sengupta, Evan, Tony Binks and Dave West. Thanks for joining us, guys. And we'll start just details of the competition that we're going to have. We've got this, which highlights Niko's great free kick against Stoke City in the last minute. And Niko is going to sign that and personalise it to one of you guys who asks the best question. So bear that in mind and good luck to all 4 of you. And we'll get underway shortly. Firstly, Niko, I'd imagine despite the defeat to Chelsea, there's probably a bit of a buzz around the place because performance-wise it was another good showing.
Well, it was. I think the last 2 games we played really well. Unfortunately, didn't get the maximum points. Liverpool and Chelsea got beat actually, but I think the performances were there, and especially against Chelsea, we showed that we can give anyone a go. And I think if the work rate is going to be as we applied against Chelsea, I think we should be fine.
And that must give everyone encouragement, as you say, playing against the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea who are at the top end. We've shown we can compete.
Well, absolutely. I think we improved in our performances, and obviously getting new faces in the team. Obviously, time was always needed, but I think the recent headings show that we're really in the nick to get better results than we have been until now, up to this point of the season.
Okay, right, let's get this Google Hangout underway then. Firstly, Rahul, over to you. What's your first question for Niko, please?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm all the way from India. So, Niko, it's great to have you in the club here, and this is your second stint here. Just wanted to know, how is Mr. Harry Redknapp's association in your life? Because this is the 3rd club I think you're playing with him. So, what role does he have to play in your life, and do you want to seal a permanent move to QPR? Just wanted to ask you.
Well, I must say, well, Harry is the first foreign manager who believed in me bringing me over to Portsmouth, and we had a great couple of seasons there, and probably the best results in the history of the football club, winning the FA Cup and getting European football for Portsmouth at the time. And I think it's probably the time where I probably played my best football as well, and when he decided to take me to Spurs. We have always had a good relationship. I think he always valued what I bring to the football pitch and as a player, and obviously he played a massive part, and still does, in my footballing career, because international football abroad, I mostly and most common I played under him. So I'm grateful in that respect that he was he was the manager who believed in me and believed in my footballing qualities. And I think over the years and over the clubs that I played for him, I repaid him in the ways that I performed for him.
Rahul, are you pleased that Harry signed Niko for a 3rd time at QPR?
Yes, so I wanted to know, it's a loan move right now. Would you be keen for a permanent move?
Well, I never hid it. I love it here, and my goal and my target is to get a permanent move to QPR. I really feel at home here. I really enjoy giving my all to this football club, and I have a special relationship with all the teammates, with the fans, obviously, and with everyone associated to the club. And coming to the latter stages of my career, I really feel this is a place where I want to be.
Okay, thanks, Rahul. Evan, over to you. What's your first question for Niko?
Yeah, well, that was one of my questions as well. He already stole it. So, no, honestly, I was so chuffed when you showed up on deadline day, watching on Sky Sports News. Like, happy days. Glad that you made it back. Really appreciated you last year in the championship, and coming through the playoffs and stuff. And that was immense when you went into the final and you got injured, and gutted that you missed the World Cup. So thanks so much for that. Just for giving your all for us. I really appreciate it. I think a lot of the fans do. I think, one thing I was interested in, obviously you played in so many different clubs, different competitions, different games. What would you say has been the highlight for you in your career? What's been your favorite game that you've been part of?
Wow. Well, there's been quite a few, obviously. Obviously, for me, and as a Croatian kid growing up and watching my dad being the first captain of the Croatian national team, I guess it would always have to be linked with the Croatian national team. And one game that really stands out for me is the Croatia-Germany game in the Euro 2008, where we beat them 2-1 in the group stages, and Croatia, I think, had a great tournament. We're unlucky to lose to Turkey in the quarterfinals. But like I said, playing for my country was always a highlight for me. And other than that, I had many games that were really highlighted. And I must say, like winning the FA Cup with Portsmouth, although I didn't have a brilliant game in the final, you still won the FA Cup with a team that people don't expect to win the FA Cup. So it's games like that that really, and I think, and I must say, coming back to the QPR, last year the semi-final at home against Wigan was a special atmosphere and a special occasion where it really felt as a special game to win, and obviously winning the final in the manner that we did is always going to be highly regarded in my memories.
And I wouldn't have thought you did your hamstring much favours that sprint across the pitch at the end of the game either. You're one of the first ones over.
Well, it didn't make it any worse. It was just a joy to be part of that team. Okay,
thanks, Evan. Tony, what's your question for Niko, please?
Yeah, hi Niko. It's really good to see you back. I'm just wondering, have you thought about after the game, when you hang up your boots, are you going to stay in football, coaching, management, or something outside?
He's only 30, Tony.
No, great question. Exactly right time as well.
I'm 50 tomorrow, so you've got plenty of years on me.
There's not many of us who want to play too long. I would love to stay in the game, but in what capacity, I haven't really thought about it. There's one thing, obviously, I've been many years away from my family and from back home, and it's obviously you miss them and you want to get back home. And then see what the options are, obviously, to get the coaches' badges done, because I think I owe football a lot, and obviously giving back to even community back home in Croatia, or working with kids back home and giving them a good opportunity to achieve the goals that I have achieved in my life and my career, I think would be something that would interest me.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Dave, what's your question, please?
Hi there, Niko. Great to talk to you. And as with the others, thanks for coming back to the club. It's great to see you on the pitch again. I've gone a little bit, not so much QPR related, but just wanted to see your reaction to these questions, really. Going back to the playoff final, watching you after the final whistle, it seemed as though you found it difficult to celebrate, because obviously you'd gone off injured. Did you find that hard to do, knowing that was probably your World Cup gone?
No.
Not at all?
No, I was really happy at the time, and I think I said it recently in an interview. I said you focus on things, you try to stay positive in those moments, and I had a beautiful time with my dear ones, with the loved ones and my family, in the time I probably wouldn't have had going to the World Cup. Obviously, it's a dream for everyone to go to a World Cup in Brazil, but you have to stay positive, and you take the best of that situation, and I must say I had a great summer.
And it was an important win for your future as well, because you knew there was a fair chance that should QPR get promoted back to the Premier League, that you may be coming back to the club. So it was a very important win for you from that point of view.
Well, it was from that point, but from the view that, like I said, wherever I've been, I think I always gave everything on the pitch. And like I said, last year with QPR, I really felt connected to the people, and wherever I would have gone on, it felt right to give everything for the cause that we were in last year, let alone for the teammates, for the friends, for your family, for whoever was with you, and obviously at the end of the day for the fans that support the club. So it was always important for me to do my best and give everything to achieve the goal that we achieved last year.
Okay, and thanks for that question, Dave. Rahul, back to you.
Yeah, so since you're talking about the playoff finals, missing out the World Cup, I always wanted to know, Niko, what prompted you to take up football as a career? Did you have any childhood hero or an inspiration, and how did you come so far?
Who was your inspiration to become a footballer?
Yeah, so did you have any childhood hero or anyone you looked?
To be fair, because my father was a football player. As a kid, I used to go out and watch his training sessions, and that's where I found the love to the football. He never really encouraged me or forced me to play football, but it was just the love that I felt towards kicking the ball around with my friends and enjoying training there. I had childhood heroes. My dad was, like I said before, a very big name back home. He was the first captain of the Croatian independent national team. He was the first manager with Dinamo Zagreb to get into the Champions League, and at that time, Robert Prosinecki played for Dinamo Zagreb, who was my footballing hero when I was growing up. So I got to see him watch him train every day, and let's say be close to my childhood football hero. So he was probably one of the biggest inspirations growing up, and a player that I always loved watching.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
Evan, what's your question, please?
My question was, I know that our fans can be quite demanding at times. So, whenever there's a feeling that maybe people aren't giving it all on the pitch or something, fans can be a bit disgruntled. What's it been like as a player? Have you always felt that support from the fans? Have you felt their frustration at times, or do you feel like the fans were really supportive of you, or of the team, I should say? And has it felt like at times, as a player in the squad, did you feel like there was times where some of the players weren't pulling their weight, and then, what was that dynamic like with the fans, getting frustrated with bad results when they didn't feel like everyone was giving their all? Was obviously Chelsea, we lost, but everyone was over the moon with the performance, and we felt like couldn't have done any more, and we were super proud of the team.
Well, I think coming as a footballer, I think every single footballer, when he comes out on a given, whenever it is Saturday or Sunday to play a game, gives it his all. I think you can't judge on the performance-wise if someone gives it all or doesn't, because we're all individuals, and someone can run for 15 miles, someone can run for 11 miles. But I think what happened in the Chelsea-Liverpool games is that we really clicked on it as a unit. That as a unit we really provided the intensity that all the fans want. And looking at that, it looks like that players were giving it more than they did the previous weeks. Whereas in my opinion, it's just that things clicked on the pitch. We realized what we had to do. Some of the players that had been coming into the squad had already had 2 or 3 games to settle in, to find their feet, and to get more fitter than they were 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think we're now really settling in. And like I said, when you look at the back four from the beginning of the season, most of them haven't been playing with each other, and now they have been settled in. So as the midfield, you've got new players in Sandro and Vargas and Leroy, and it's not easy to accompany 7 or 8 new players in a football team. You need time, and I think that has been proven. And I'm happy that the fans can realize and say that they're happy with the performances in the recent weeks, and hopefully we can only build on that and start climbing up the table, because it's important for us. Playing well and losing game is not going to get us out of trouble. The most important thing is start getting results now.
And Evan, have you been happy with recent performances?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I made it there for opening day. That was my first actual chance to go over to Loftus Road, because I'm over in Belfast. So I made it over for opening day, and I thought it was a great performance. I thought we were unlucky to not get a point at least. But then a couple of the performances obviously were a bit disappointing, because I feel like we do have the quality to give people like Spurs and people like even Man U a run for their money. So to see us really pull it back and make Liverpool fight for it, and be unlucky to really kind of lose ourselves the game in some senses, and then to fight against Chelsea. And to be honest, I'm not really agreeing with the penalty decision, but hey, what can you do? I'm really happy. I feel like it's massively positive, and I'm really glad to see like Niko back. Like I said, I was really stoked to see him come back there on deadline day, and I genuinely feel pretty optimistic for the rest of the season.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for that, Evan. Tony, what's your next question?
Yeah, Niko, I'm pretty sure a guy of your quality is going to be wanted at quite a few clubs. Your parent club, obviously, and any other clubs. What was it specifically made you come back again this year?
This year, the club that wanted me. Let's be honest.
You must have had other offers, surely.
No.
No?
No.
I find that really hard to believe. I mean, you're a quality player.
Only Harry has his number, so Harry rang him.
Well, I was in a quite complicated. I was in a quite complicated situation with Dynamo Kiev, obviously, and there weren't many offers going around, but from the first go, I wanted to come back to QPR because, like I said, I settled in really well last year. I enjoy the atmosphere around the club, the people that run the club, the owner of the club, the manager, obviously knowing his coaching staff, the teammates that I had a great relationship with. So it was always my first pick.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Dave, what's your next question? Dave?
Sorry about that, guys. Right, yeah, Niko, biggest question I think everybody wants to know, really. Why are you not on FIFA 15? Because Joey's not as good as you at free kicks.
I have no idea.
We'll have to look
I'll
at
find you anyway.
I've never played FIFA, and I usually don't play video games, so I couldn't answer that question.
Were you in on the day that FIFA were here doing the pictures of all the players? That might be the reason. Niko might not have been here on that day, so as a punishment, they've just omitted him from the game. We'll have to look into that. Okay, thanks for that, Dave. Rahul, what's your next question, please?
Yeah, since I just wanted to know that what is the objective for as a personally for you as a player in this year? What do you look forward to in this season to achieve with this club? What drove you to this club?
Well, I would love to establish myself as a regular first-team choice. Obviously, the competition in the team is vast, and there's great quality in the squad. Obviously, my goal is to play week in, week out. Unfortunately, I had a setback with my broken toe and having a chest infection in the last couple of weeks. But that is my first and foremost goal. But I think the goal of everyone here is for QPR to stay in the Premiership and build on that next year.
Okay, thanks, Rahul. Evan, you're next up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I follow Tony on Twitter, and he just seems like a really dead-on guy, like really like, a man of the people sort of. What's it like having him as the chairman? Does he have a lot of interaction with you as players, like individually? Does he actually stop by and chat a lot, or what's your kind of opinion of him, if you like, as an owner versus some of the other owners that you've had around?
No, I think he's a great owner. I think he's an owner who gives everything to the cause, to the football club. He's great with us players, great with the management, keeps faith in his managers. And I think he's an example of a chairman in football nowadays. The way he conducts himself, the way he believes in his project, and then the personnel he puts to get the project done.
Great stuff. Thanks, Evan. Tony, what's your next question?
Yeah, it was touched on a little earlier on about regards to playoff final and the fact that you could quite possibly, and did, as it turned out, get injured and it rule you out of the World Cup. Do you have any regrets about that? Because I know you're only a very, very young 30, but next time round you're 34. So any regrets at all that you may have missed your last one?
I don't live for regrets. It's something that happened. I wouldn't change anything to the build-up to the final. I believed I was fit enough to play, and I didn't think it was a risk for me to play in that game, and I wouldn't change anything. And yes, I'm sad not participating in the World Cup. It's life.
I didn't mean to upset you.
Really didn't. Because it doesn't come across nice if I say that I wasn't upset. Obviously, it's the dream of every player to play in the World Cup. But I mentioned it before. You take the positives out of it. I had a great summer with my loved ones, people I want to be, and I don't have the time to spend as much as I usually do. On the other side, going to the World Cup, I went to 2006 in Germany. And because of my injury, I couldn't go, and I couldn't change anything. I'm not going to Brazil, so I didn't really think about it too much, and I definitely didn't lock myself in a room and cry about it. It's football. It happens in everyone's life, career, however you turn.
I think it lifted you up in everyone's estimations, I think, because one thing I know being a QPR fan and knowing other QPR fans is results come and go. Wins, losses, draws, doesn't matter. What seems to matter to us as a club is that people play like they want to be there.
Yeah.
Play like that it matters. Now, you do that, and I think it's things like that showed it. I think we're all forgiving. I mean, we could get hammered 6-0, but if everybody gave blood, sweat and tears, we'd be grateful. and I think you epitomise that for this club.
Good. Thanks, Tony. Dave, what's your next question, please?
Niko, as a player, just wondered. I lived in Germany for a number of years, and I just wondered what your thoughts were, whether the same system of running football could work over here, i.e., players owning part of the club.
Well, about the idea of it happens in Germany and Portsmouth, obviously owned by Pompey Supporters Trust, whether you can have fans-owned clubs. Do you think that works as a philosophy, as an approach for fans to own the club?
If they have enough money, yeah.
That's ultimately what it comes down to at the top end of football, isn't it? What's your views on that, Dave?
Well, having experienced it in Germany, I used to go and watch Munich. I used to go to Stuttgart and Dortmund, and it works really, really well. If there's any transfer dealings, the fans get a say. There's also a lot of connection with things like the rail network. You can buy your match ticket along with your train ticket going to the game, which is a fantastic idea. But the whole match day experience is just completely different over there as to what it is here, and I just wondered whether players thought that maybe that's something that could work over here.
Yeah, it's interesting in England. I think Portsmouth is the highest ranked team in England that is fans owned, and it is interesting. And certainly it started well for Portsmouth since that has happened. It'd be interesting to see what happens going forward with that. Thanks for that, Dave. Great question. And back to Rahul.
Hi, Niko. Just wanted to heard, have you heard of the Indian Super League, which is a football league which was recently launched, and your ex-teammate David James is a player manager in one of the teams, and QPR is also very involved in India. Mr. Andy Evans is right now in India for some community program which is starting tomorrow in the city where I live. And we also have Mr. Lakshmi Mittal, one of the part owners of the club, and Mr. Amit Bhatia, of course, from India. So have you heard of the league here?
Yes.
In future, after EPL retirement, can we see you here?
Well, I've heard of the league, and it's obviously a try to make football popular in India and to give, because there's a massive, I think, crowd there that love football and that miss another sport next to cricket. And I think football is obviously a great way to get people together to obviously marketing-wise influence a league in India. And I think bringing in big names, if you like them, to try to promote the league there can only do good. But it will take time. It will take definitely a lot of investing of time and courage and people that know the game. And obviously, the most important thing is the fans need to connect and the fans need to love that part of the game and enjoy going to games and enjoying game days as a day out with the family, friends, or however you want to call it. I think everywhere in the world it's been tried because obviously it's probably the most watched sport in the world. And I believe India has a good chance for it to value.
Great stuff. Thanks, Rahul. Evan, what's your next question, please?
My question was, you came in last year when we were in the championship. Obviously, it was a real rebuilding time for us, and there was a lot of talk about how the dressing room had been such a shambles the year before, and everything was being rebuilt, and it seemed like there was a real togetherness near the end of the season. Obviously, a lot of things have changed. Maybe some more people have come in and gone out. What's the feeling like in the dressing room now for you versus last year in the championship? Would you say it's even better, even more positive, or is it about the same? Or
I would say it's more or less the same. I think, like you said, we built on our togetherness from last year, and the lads that have come in have been great professional, great lads to work with, and the atmosphere amongst the lads here is great, as good as I have come across in any other football club, and I think that is not something that we're going to be afraid of losing anytime soon, because the togetherness is here, the will to get results is here, and it's a great atmosphere to work in.
How do you feel that togetherness has come about? You're saying it's the best you've ever known at any club you've ever been at.
No, as good.
As good, sorry, as good. Journalistic license. Kranjcar says best ever. How does that come about? Is it partly created, part natural?
I think it's both. Obviously, you need to be lucky with getting characters in that are down-to-earth characters and that are A, not jealous of one another, and B, that have the same goal and want to do the best for the football club, being for their individual reasons, being for the collective reasons of the football club. But I think you need to be lucky to have great lads in, which we really do.
Great. So
how important do you think that is? I mean, I found whenever I played sport when I was younger, the morale is such a massive part of it. You know, it's that intangible. You can't calculate it on paper, but I always found that, like, when you have that togetherness and that belief and that, you know, brotherhood, if you like, that was such a massive win already before you get the results. It's almost like, how do you find that? Do you find that the same?
I think it's really important, especially in moments like now when we're second bottom in the table and when we're trying to get out of a difficult period. Obviously, it's easy to have a good togetherness when results go your way and when you're winning every week and you go out for a drink afterwards with your friends because you won a game. But it's hard to keep together and stay together, and that's when it shows the most, when you're not in an ideal situation. And I think we proved that last year, even when we beginning of the season, we everyone believed that we were going to get direct promotion, but we had to stick together through the hard times, through the playoffs, and then the final, going a man down, and we stuck in there, and got the lucky break at the end of the game. And I think those are the moments, things where you see how much there is a togetherness in the team, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean that there's a massive friendship between the players or the lads. It just there has to be a respect, and there has to be a goal that is wanted to be achieved together in getting QPR to staying in the Premiership, and then having the opportunity to build on that next season.
Great stuff. Thanks, Evan. Tony, what's your next question, please?
Yeah, touching on the jealousy in the dressing room, how much ribbing do you get from the fact that you seem to be, shall we say, the ladies' poster boy at QPR? Do you get much grief from the other players about that?
No.
No. I know what it's like, personally.
No grief about that whatsoever. No, not enough. Everyone individually believes they're the best-looking lad in the dressing room, so I have absolutely no problem with that.
Yeah, but they're all wrong, aren't they?
Nah?
They're all wrong, though.
Most of them are right. It's good to have self-belief.
I tell you what, Tony, it doesn't do your self-confidence any good sitting next to this fella on a camera either, I have to say. Okay, thanks for that, Tony. Dave, what's your next question, please?
Niko, as a professional musician myself, I just wondered what sort of music do you listen to before a game to get you ready, and possibly after the game just to help you chill out and relax, but just in general, what's your favourite sort of music?
My favorite music is rock, but I'm not one of those players who listens to music before or after games. I can't say and count myself a massive music fan, but especially not before games. I don't know. You think about situations that can happen in the game, and that's the way I concentrate and prepare myself for the game. But we do have a shared music, let's say, in the dressing room, which is mostly R&B and hip hop.
Okay, what music would you go for, Dave?
Well, obvious, isn't it? The Clash, you know, Pig Bag. That gets me pumped up pre-match.
It seems to be quite effective, doesn't it? Okay, thanks very much for that. And your last set of questions, Rahul, back to you for your final question, please.
Since it's the last question, just wanted to know more about you. So, if you're not playing football, do you have any other hobbies, or are you into, like you just said, you're not into music, but movies?
Yeah, I love going to theater, to shows, concerts whenever I get the chance to. And, I love playing tennis. I don't get around to play tennis a lot during the season, obviously, because it's not the best time, but off season I really enjoyed tennis, and as a kid I used to train tennis 3 times a week, parallel to football, and there was a time where I was thinking of where I had to make a decision, but I made a decision to follow my football skills, and yeah, I miss tennis. To be fair, if you ask me about my favorite hobbies, it would be tennis.
Okay, lovely. And Evan, what's your final question, please?
A lot of, well, athletes, but footballers can be quite, like, not superstitious, but they have a certain ritual, certain pre-game thing they always do, a certain way of getting ready. Do you have anything like that? Anything that you always do before a game or always do before a big game or anything?
No.
Always different?
When I was younger, but I just found out it doesn't help.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you always lose one game.
This is the man who, when they went to have a look at the pitch at Wembley before the playoff final, one of the players said, "Niko looks like he's going for a stroll around his local park," while all the other players are taking photos. Okay, so no superstitions. Evan, did you have a superstition yourself?
Back in school, like, I think I had, like, a certain, wristband or something I'd always wear or whatever. It's like when you're younger, like Niko was saying, you always have these certain things that you do, but it's just.
Did the girls fancy you because of the wristband?
What?
Did the girls fancy you because of the wristband? Is that what you were to change?
No, because of the amazing skill, obviously.
Yeah, okay. I think
Niko, you should obviously get me the autograph, because I got this flag here from opening day, but you weren't there to sign it. Everyone else did, so I'm missing your autograph here, man. Can't leave me hanging.
Lovely. Well, we'll consider all briberies at the end of the show, I'm sure. Okay, last couple of questions. Firstly, from Tony, what's your final question for Niko, please?
Well, for a start, there's no bribery bigger than the fact that I'm 50 tomorrow, so I deserve that. I'm just thinking that, early on in your career, you started getting these things that you're being likened to Prosinecki and Zidane and all this sort of thing. Did that put undue pressure on you, do you think, or did it spur you on to become better? I mean, because that's a lot of pressure to put on anybody's head. And
that was nothing compared to my dad being my national team manager.
Yeah.
Believe me, that was a stroll in the park for me. I was under pressure, like I said, but and it wasn't easy. Obviously, it's a massive pressure when half the nation is against you because they believe you're playing in the national team only because your father is the manager and he's picking you. Every bad result is blamed on you, and only 20 at that time. So it wasn't something that was easy to grow, but it makes you tougher, makes you harder. And at the end of the day, I had great teammates who always supported me. And I obviously had my self-belief once you step onto the pitch, you're by yourself. There's no one to help you, no one outside of that pitch other than your teammates and yourself to prove yourself. And I'm lucky enough that throughout my career, I proved myself wherever I went. I could have maybe had a better career, but then again, my career could have stopped when I was 20, 21. So I'm grateful for the life I had up till now, the career that I had up till now, and I don't regret anything that has happened to me throughout my career.
Do you think
I know your father cast a huge shadow, and obviously he was very instrumental in bringing you along, but was there a particular player that has helped you in your career that you played alongside? Because you played alongside some great players. Is there anyone in particular that stands out that sort of pushed you on?
Well, I must say, going to Portsmouth, there was a couple of them that me coming young over really was impressed with, and that was Nwankwo Kanu and Sol Campbell, who really liked in the way they talked about football and the way they prepared and everything they achieved playing football. That really helped me. And I must say, I had a really tight relationship with Robert Prosinecki when he was one of the assistants of Slaven Bilic in the Croatian national team, and talking to him about football is something that really helped me as well. And, someone who was really inspirational in that occasion. But growing, like I said, coming over to Portsmouth, I learned a lot in watching Kanu train. Although he was coming to the latter stages of his career, watching him train and talking to Sol Campbell about his playing days at Arsenal, and they were still in great shape when I came to Portsmouth, and we had, like I said, we had a great season and a half. And I was lucky to play with brilliant footballers like Jermaine Defoe, Peter Crouch, Lassana Diarra at the time at Portsmouth. At Spurs, there was a vast majority of Robbie Keane, Gareth Bale, obviously, that has gone on to be probably one of the best footballers in the world. Luka Modric, who I played with for a long time in the national team as well, and it's playing alongside those players that you also learn a lot from.
Yeah. Did you try to model yourself on any of them, or did you just plough your own furrow and go your own way?
Yeah.
Or did you think, yeah, I want to be a bit more like him, or a bit like him, or you want to be
always
yourself?
wanted to be like Robert Presnetsky, to be fair, but that is hard to be.
Yeah.
And I think some of the way I play football and some of the moves are parts that he has in his games. But like I said, you always want to be yourself. You always want to be realized for who you are and what you bring to the football.
There's few players that seem to be quite so laid back as you.
Thank you. I hope that's a good thing. Although fans don't, it doesn't look like I'm giving 100% when I'm laid back.
It does. You just need to do it. I do. It's easy. Easy.
Okay, thanks for that, Tony. And final question of the Google Hangout goes to Dave. What's the question, Dave?
Niko, I mean, my last question's been touched on really regarding the national team. So you were talking about your dad just then. So I just wanted to ask you, does he get to see you play that much nowadays? And is it still, does it give you a buzz? I mean, it took me so many years to get my dad to see me playing football because I left home early, joined the army and whatever. And I was sort of 30, well, mid-30s by the time my dad saw me play football, and it gave me such a buzz. So do you sort of have that extra urge when you play if your dad's watching you?
No.
Fair enough.
I have a really, really great relationship with my dad. And yes, we do talk a lot about football in general, but he was never one of the parents that would come to my training sessions or come as when I was younger. He did come to my games and he enjoyed watching me play. But he was never too pushy about my football, and he was never really in the face. Obviously, being my father, he thinks I'm the best player in the world, but he's quite reasonable in his opinions, in his views of the game. He has a chance to watch me, obviously, on TV a lot. He just, last 3 years, he lived in Iran, so obviously he didn't see me live that much. This week he's over, and unfortunately I didn't get any minutes in the Chelsea game, so he didn't watch me, but he was there at the game, and he was happy with the performance of the QPR team. And like I said, I have a special relationship with him, and I really love talking to football with him, and it's been a privilege too. Although a burden in some way back home, being his son, it's been a privilege to grow up with him, and it's eased my life into the fame world, if you call it, because I grew up with it. I was a kid that went to every single football match of his, that went to as much training sessions that he had. I could have because of school training, homework, or so ever. I really had the opportunity to travel to World Cups, to European Cups as a kid, next side to him, and I was really lucky in that respect growing up.
You say your dad didn't make you nervous or give you extra motivation when he turned up. Is there anyone who has turned up to a game or could turn up to a game that would make you think, blimey? No one. No. That's how laid back this man is. Okay, we will at the end we will check and go through, and Niko will pick his favourite question. We'll announce it on the official QPR Twitter feed.
Do I need to do it now?
So well, if you've got it in your mind.
I don't.
No, so I thought that was the case. So we'll have a chat afterwards. Niko will pick his best one, and we'll announce it on the official QPR Twitter feed. So keep your eyes on
your work. Loving your work, Niko. Keep it up, bud.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the.
Thanks, Niko.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks to Rahul.
My afternoon.
Thanks to Rahul, Evan, Tony, and Dave. Huge thanks to you, and a big thanks to Niko for joining us as well. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.